It's action time. It is now 7 p.m. and we will open up our school board meeting and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, if you would join me. Next on our agenda is our superintendent's report. Dr. Hanson.
Good evening, President Triplett, members of the board. All that noise back there was our principals, by the way. No, it's going to be a great evening celebration. I have a few announcements coming back from fall break. I hope everyone had a refreshing and relaxing fall break. We hit the road running. Our calendar is great, but the Monday after fall break, we just pick up where we left off. I want to thank all of our schools and our families for participating in parent-teacher conferences. It's something I never want to take for granted. We have a couple districts in the area actually that don't designate a day for our families to come in and meet with our educators. So that's been a strong tradition for us in Warren Township, and things I've heard from some of our parents who happen to be on the board. Things went really well this year, so congratulations to you guys on that. In my call today, board, as many of you know, the Lilly Endowment released their K-12's initiative grant back in September. We did receive the $50,000 planning grant, and so we're starting to plan the planning grant with that. A couple of things I want to bring to your attention. In the call today was a survey that we're just putting out. It's an open survey. We're not putting a lot of pressure on it, but if our families or students or community members want to give us input or feedback or ideas of how to use phase 2 and phase 3 dollars, we are going to take all that into consideration. On Wednesday, November 13th, and more information will be coming out, principals, you get to hear this firsthand. We are holding a community dinner conversation at Marriott East. Principals, you'll be asked to fill a table of 8 of students, staff, families, community members. You cannot have one group that is the majority of your table. So please try to have a good representation that represents your school. We're doing a really nice dinner. We're going to use some of the planning grant to do that. And then Adam Jones will help facilitate some conversation around how we can use the grant dollars to improve our student outcomes and post-secondary success. As you know, I'm a part of the Indy East Rotary Club. Our Meyer Middle School project is coming up next week. I want to thank the Rotary Club and Meyer for partnering with us on that. About 90 students get free shoes, a new pair of shoes and socks, so looking forward to that. This week we participated in the Ed Leader 21 annual event. I want to give a special shout out to Masimba, John Klein, and Kathy Hench. As the host district for Indiana, we were asked to be a site visit for this conference. So we had over 100 educators from across the country visiting Liberty Park, Raymond Park, and the high school today. And Ryan was with the high school, Tierney was with Raymond Park, and I was at Liberty Park. I'll share some pictures with you guys later, but you know, one of the testaments of how the day went, one of the participants or attendees at the end said, you know, thank you for hosting this visit. It was very inspirational. So great job to you guys, and thanks for doing that. We have a lot of great things that I think we maybe take for granted sometimes. Election Day, November 5th, just a reminder that's an e-learning day for our students. It is a professional learning day for our staff. I want to highlight Natalie Reuter and her team. Is Natalie back there somewhere? Yes, you can stand up, Natalie. Our Warren Adult Education was recognized as a program of excellence again, 2 years in a row. So congratulations, Natalie, and to your team. I want to give a Warren Will shout out to our Warren Central High School Gold Brigade Band for back-to-back Class A state champions. And you'll hear from them a little bit later tonight, but I also want to say thank you and appreciation for transportation team. Board, you have your new shirts in front of you. We're all going to wear ours on Friday, or tonight. But transportation, Bill and Lynn, to your team, we obviously can't do what we do without you guys, and we appreciate all that you do.
Thank you, Dr. Henson, for that report. Hey, new face. We have Miss Jackson, you mean first name? Caitlin. I always mess it up. That's why I say Miss Jackson. Here for our student representative tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, President Triplett, Dr. Hanson, and members of the board. I am Kaylana Jackson, one of the Public Relations Officers for Warren Central Student Council. I am a senior and expecting to graduate with academic honors this May. I also run track, am a football manager, and play flag football for Warren, as well as being in a few other clubs. This evening, I bring to you the current events around the school. Starting with some regular within the school updates, we have come off of our fall break smoothly, and students are preparing for the second half of our first semester. This week, we had guests at our school where we had the honor of showcasing our clubs and extracurriculars, as well as some of the wonderful things Ms. Taylor and our school board are doing. We had the induction for this year's new chapter of National Honor Society, and we also have PSATs this Thursday. Good luck to all those taking it. We are excited for the free event that our performing arts choirs are doing with the middle schools this Friday as well. Briefly before fall break, Student Council had the pleasure of welcoming another officer onto our board. Her name is Ariana Thomas, and she is our new secretary. It is with hopes that soon we can formally introduce you all to all of our officers, hopefully at the next board meeting. We have also successfully decided our plan for the leadership retreat. If you currently don't know, this is Student Council's annual retreat for students to learn more about how to truly be in tune with their natural-born leadership skills. Our members decided on a lock-in. We will host this at Warren on November 15th from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. on November 16th. We are super excited to have everyone playing many group bonding games and listening to some inspirational speakers, while also coming up with some things to better our community. Thank you all for the opportunity to speak today, and I appreciate your dedication to our student body. Have a wonderful night.
Well, thank you. You spoke so elegantly, like you've been in that chair all year. Great job. Thank you for the updates. We always appreciate hearing the student voices, so to keep us on our toes and accountable, so thank you. I will back up. I had my glasses on, but I still did not see. I skipped over 3.0, the spotlight recognition.
I got you.
Okay. Recognition of our National Principals Month, and Dr. Hanson will take that on.
Yeah. Kaylana, it's good to see you.
Hi.
Kaylana was also one of our Rotary Club participants in RILA, correct? Yeah, and you were on the girls' track team. Yeah. Good to see you. October is National Principal Recognition Appreciation Month, and we had a little reception prior to the board meeting where we thanked them. But I also want to publicly thank our building leaders, our directors, our principals. Couldn't ask for a better group of leaders that are in front of our kids and our families and doing what's best for them. So, yes, cheerleader, let's go. Just like the kids, we would love to have you come up so that we can individually recognize you. So, Kim, if you would kind of lead the pack, and if you guys come up, thank you again for all that you do, and we appreciate your leadership. President Triplett, I did give the principals permission to leave. It's been a busy week, so thank you, guys.
Thank you. We will now go to 5.0, the Mirror Neighborhood Advocates, and I don't think Jenny. Okay. Had spoken with her today, and we will get an announcement out, especially for our Haitian Creole families. We will be doing something for Thanksgiving for them. So that will be coming out soon. It'll be on the 16th, but I will wait for the details for Jenny. It's sponsored by the mayor's office and the Pacers. So I just wanted to make that announcement. Okay. Do we have any board correspondence?
Yes, we do. Dear MSD Warren Township School Board and staff, on behalf of our family, we express our heartfelt thanks for the beautiful lantern with the sunflower bouquet you sent to our father and grandfather's funeral. Your thoughtfulness brought us comfort, and the lantern and flowers serve as a touching tribute to his memory. Warm regards, the family of Don Pennington.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
7.0, Business of Citizens Presence. Do we have any green cards?
We do not have any green cards.
We will now go into our consent agenda. And on our consent agenda, we have approval of minutes, financial report for payroll, financial report for electronic payments, financial report, year-to-date summary of fund balance, human resource report, supplement personnel report. We do not have any field trips, permissions to accept gifts, change order, contracts, use of school property. We have no special events. We have no conflict of interest, and technical corrections. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
It has been properly moved by Rachel and second by Julie. Are there any discussion? If not, we're ready for a vote. Technical difficulties. I am not showing up. Yay. Mhm. Yay. It is not showing, but let the record reflect that, oh, there it is. That passes unanimously.
Still on break.
Next on our agenda, item 9.0, it was pulled from our consent agenda, and it is our claim registry. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
It has been properly moved by Terry and second by Julie. Is there any discussion? Okay. It's time for the vote? Yes. That motion passes with 6 yeas and 1 abstain. Thank you. Next on our agenda are reports. Agenda item 10.0. So we will have our Warren Council of our PTA, Ms. Catherine.
Now it is. Thank you, President Triplett, Dr. Hanson, school board members, for inviting me to your school board meeting tonight to present on all the wonderful things our PTAs do in this township. So we will start off with, let's see, down. Okay. First off, our leadership team for the Warren Township Council of PTAs. So I'm the president for this year. It's a one-year term. My vice president is Tanya Turner. She is in charge of Sunny Day, which is our food pantry. Veronica Grimes is my second vice president, and she is in charge of our discount card. Diane Simon is our treasurer, and Michelle Shuffett is our secretary. And we are all volunteers. So our council PTA's mission is to improve the educational impact on children of Warren Township schools by supporting and strengthening our 15 local PTAs, PTSAs, that comprise our council PTA. So everything we do revolves around how we can improve the lives of our children in this school township. Our council PTA focuses on a couple service projects. 3 you guys are all aware of. A 4th one is new. So first, we operate the Sunny Day food, toiletry, and clothing pantry. Secondly, we host Warren Home Fest for our community. Third, we create a discount card for all of our PTAs to utilize to pass out as a free incentive. If you join their PTA, you get this wonderful discount card to local businesses around our community. And then this year, we are hosting a Small Business Saturday Expo, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. But again, all the vendors that come to this event, their vendor fee is coming back to our PTAs, and we will divide it amongst our 15 local units. So another fundraiser for our PTAs. So our wonderful local PTA units. We have one in all of our elementary schools, so all 9 elementary schools, all 3 intermediate and middle schools, the Warren Early Childhood Center, the Warren High School, and the Warren Online Academy. And again, all of those that are on the leadership team are also volunteers. They're comprised of parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles. Students can sit on the board too, in different liaison roles. We have a variety of them, have a lot of staff members as well, and a few have community members. So again, if you join a PTA, you can be part of that leadership team. It doesn't have to be a parent. It doesn't have to be a staff member. So if anybody in the community who's maybe in the audience, watching online, is interested in joining a PTA, all you have to do is pay it's either $6 up to $10. We have a variety of membership dues, but pick that school that you want to help participate at, join their PTA, and then reach out to the current board, and you can be part of that leadership team. It's that simple to help make a difference in each of the schools. So. Okay, a quick glance at what our local PTAs, some of the events that they host. So the majority of our PTAs participate in some fashion in back to school nights. They all participate in Warren Home Fest. While the council organizes it, all the PTAs run a carnival game. Warren Cleanup Day, which is run by our high school PTA, then sends out all the information to all the local PTAs. So I also run that one, so sorry. So the high school PTA, they get a variety of community members, so it's staff from all the schools, community members throughout Warren Township. So there's a lot of people that come together, including students at a variety of schools too. ROTC from the high school is a big component of Warren Cleanup Day. Course celebrations. So a lot of our elementary schools and middle schools have course celebrations at the end of each quarter. It might be, my kids have gotten old enough now, it might be more towards the end of each semester, but PTAs help support that. Staff appreciation days. Many of our PTAs supplies teachers with school supplies. Some have their own clothing closet. Many of them host a fall, spring, winter festival. There's a variety of them that also host bingo nights. In particular, Pleasant Run hosts a butterball bingo, so it's a turkey bingo. I like to bring that up because it's kind of fun to say, butterball bingo. Roller skating parties, our elementary schools and our middle schools still all participate. They usually host 3 to 4, and that's at the Roller Cave, 21st and Post. So shout out to the Roller Cave for still continuing to reach out to all our schools and host this. And then the money, the fundraisers come back to our PTA, so it'll help support what we do inside the schools. Open gym nights, or it might be a parent night out. Color fun runs, STEM nights, and family dances. And that's just to name a few. We have put together a flyer. So we just had Claudia Guzman, so shout out to her for translating the back of it for us. So it will now be in Spanish as well. But we have a flyer that we have available. It's online, but we have it available at Moorhead Community Resource Center. It lists all of our PTAs, how to contact them. So if you have questions or if you want to join, how to make a difference, you can reach out and get the information on the front, and then the back now is translated into English and Spanish, and it basically tells you what I explained to you before, which is why do you join a PTA, and it's to make a difference in the lives of our children here in this community. Okay, our PTAs, we have several different compliance things that we have to follow throughout the year, and the council PTA helps keep everybody on track. And if you are a unit in good standing, then you have the opportunity to apply for national PTA grants. So we had 2 of our PTAs take advantage of that, and we won't find out until December if they have won, but Pleasant Run applied for 3. So they have applied for the PTA Connected Ready Tech Go, so that's gonna be a technology safety, things of that nature. The STEM Plus, so a science grant. And then the PTA Wellness Fair, so again, wellness, it could be physical activity, drinking water, things of that nature. And all of these 3 grants range between $1,250 to $1,500. Our high school PTA applied for a grant for the Tobacco Prevention Campaign grant, and that's a $1,500 campaign. So stay tuned for whether one or hopefully both of these PTA units will win a grant from the National PTA. The discount card. So this year's discount card, I wanted to make sure that we highlight the businesses in our area that signed up. And again, there's no fee to be involved on this. Basically fill out a simple application. So if you know a business that would like to join for next year, we start on this in June, we finalize it, and then we get them printed and they're ready to go by July, by the start of school, so that all our PTAs can pass it out with each of their membership. So we have Art Skillet, El Jaripio, the Cumberland Dairy Queen, Wendy's Nails, Jiffy Lube, Guadalajara Grill, Deering Cleaners, Skyline Chili, Blueberry Hill Pancake House, Divine Locks and Styles, Glenn's Creative Services, the Warren Central High School Bookstore, Parched, Impact Martial Arts, Randsburg YMCA, and the Roller Cave. So again, like I said, we put this together May, June, we finalize it. So if you are at any of your favorite businesses around town and would like for maybe them to be on our discount card, you can give a shout out to us or ask them themselves to reach out and to join the card. But there's a lot of great discounts. So whether you're paying a $6 membership fee or even that $10 membership fee to join a local PTA, you use this card once or twice and you've paid for your membership. So it's a huge bonus to joining the PTAs. Okay, before I move on to the food pantry, does anybody have any questions about just the local PTA unit side of things that I presented? No? Okay. Okay, so Sunny Day. So we reach out to the businesses, they tell us what they want on it, and then we reach out to the Indiana PTA. So we put it together on our paper card, and then we send it to the Indiana PTA, and they print it for us. So every year we change the color, we change the information on it. They print it, they cut it, they sort it based on our 15 units that we have and how many members they had last year, and if we need more, we print more. But so the Indiana PTA partners with us, and they do the printing. Anybody else have questions? Yeah.
It's in reference to Renaissance. I noticed you had all the schools on there, the members of the PTA.
Right.
Why was Renaissance not shown?
So they formally had a PTA, and I think it was just too challenging at the time. It's there's a lot of checklists that we have to do on the leadership team side of things, and if you're still managing, there was staff members. So we really, if your board is filled with staff, staff of the school for the PTA board, you got to do your full-time job, and then you got to do that as well. So I think part of it was it got a little too complicated for them to try to kind of combine all of that. We need to get more parents involved to help. So, and yeah, they transition in and out so quickly, so. But they did attempt it, and it was there for 2 years. So, and they held a couple little events, which was great, and we wish it could have continued. But like Ms. French said, the kids kind of come and go, which is what we want, right? They head over to Renaissance, and we want them back in the schools. So they don't stay long enough to really, for a family member to step up and be part of that leadership team to hold events like these dances and whatever it is that we STEM nights, things of that nature. So.
Catherine, could we invite Renaissance families to high school events?
Yes, they are
Okay.
more than welcome to come, because so the high school PTA still treats them as part of our school, so we still send out invitations to like Warren Online. So if there's an event that is universal, we'll even send it for Warren Online. They are more than welcome to join any of our PTA events. Yeah. Oh, see, I skipped it. Okay, so Sunny Day Food Pantry. For those that don't know, we are located at the Moorhead Community Resource Center, so we're right here at 10th and Post. We are, again, all volunteers, and we have a full board just within the last week, so I'm excited that we are fully in place with everybody having a specific category that they run at the food pantry. Helps everything run a little bit more efficiently. So from left to right, I made sure I put the order correctly this year. We have Karen Kinley. She's in charge of our pre-orders. So those that need to stay in their cars, maybe their medical necessities, they can't walk very well, things of that nature. We have a Google form. You can fill it out online. You pick the food order, the toiletry order that you want. We bag it. Karen bags it and puts it together, and then she loads it into your car. So we have almost 100 people signed up for that, but oddly enough, it's somewhere between 25 and 30 that take advantage of it each time we're open. So I'm always kind of surprised by that. But again, we're only open twice a month, so that's probably a factor. But we do have a lot of people that do take advantage of it. And it helps cut down on the line of those coming in door one. Next up is Colette Johnson. So she's in charge of our clothing. And if you guys have visited there, that is amazing how much clothing our community donates. So our council PTA does not buy any clothing. So everything that you see there has been donated by our community, and it is never ending. And so I am amazed by that. I'll walk in, 2 days later I walk in again, and I'm like, I can't walk in the front of that door, that classroom, because there's so much that gets donated. So Colette tackles that. So she does an amazing job. She goes through, sorts it. She's got her team of volunteers, but then thankful to Moorhead Community Resource Center, they do the washing for us. So they've got an industrial washer and dryer, and Regina and Tiffany and the other staff members, they'll go in and they'll help Colette. They'll grab the totes that say, please wash, and they get it washed, and they put it back in there for her so that we can sort it and get it put out on the floor. So again, thank you to the community that donates all the clothes for us, because our patrons are very thankful for that. Next up is Diane Simon. She's our newest one. She's now in charge of volunteers. So we have a Sign Up Genius. So anybody who would like to volunteer, you can just go online to sunnyday.org, click on the volunteer tab, scroll down, and you'll see the Sign Up Genius link. We have our dates now through June. They're all listed in there, so for the rest of the school year. But you can sign up for the 2 days a month that we're open. Next up is Carissa Dollar. She is our administration team leader. So she makes sure that we are in compliance with all the paperwork that we have to turn in, whether it's Gleaners, Moonwest Food Bank, things of that nature. Tanya Turner is in charge of our food. So she makes sure that we have the items in stock. So she purchases them from Gleaners or any other associated company that we need to get food from. And then she makes sure that the shelves are stocked and everything's ready to go for distribution. I'm in charge of deliveries. So I am there for when the Gleaners drops off the food. I'm there for when I have to go pick up Aldi's. I'm there for when I have to go down to Midwest Food Bank and pick up the pallets of food from them as well. And then Sharon Berry, she's in charge of our toiletries. And so she works closely with our dentists in the community. They offer the toothpaste, the toothbrush brushes, the floss. We get a lot of our items from Amazon because of the convenience of shipping. And then Dollar Tree. We work with Dollar Tree to get a lot of the other toiletries. And we offer a variety of bags. So there's different selections each time you come to choose. From anything from like all-purpose cleaner to laundry detergent. Feminine hygiene is one bag. Deodorants and things of that nature are another bag. So we got a variety depending on what the family might need. Okay. Sunny Day was established back in 2013. We started off at Heather Hills Elementary / Highlander Park now. Sunny Day is named after Sonny Caldwell. He was a custodian there at Heather Hills, and he had passed away a little bit before that organizational team came up with the fact we wanted a food pantry and we wanted to name it after him. So he gave back to the community, volunteered a lot in the community. So in honor of that, the team at the time named our food pantry after Sunny Day. And his family is still in talks with us. They're in communication with us. They help financially support us too as well. In 2014, Gleaners accepted our partnership, and we've been working with them ever since. So they come twice a month. They come the Friday before our Saturday that we're open, and they come the Thursday that we are open. And they give us $1,000 a month to spend, which does go really quickly. I know it sounds like a lot of money, but it's not. So it goes really quickly, and we utilize that for a lot of our canned goods and things that we put on the shelf-stable items. Because we are a school-based pantry, they give us free milk, free fresh veggies, and free fresh fruit. There's a limited quantity of that, but again, that doesn't go towards that $1,000, so we're extremely grateful for that classification. Midwest Food Bank, they let me walk away with 8 pallets of food. So once a month. Most of it is drinks and chips, things that are more bulky items that we get from there. Bread, so the bread that you'll see that we pass out, that comes from Midwest Food Bank. Last month, I was able to walk away with a pallet of Lunchables, which was extremely helpful because it was right before fall break, so we could pass out a ton of boxes filled with Lunchables in them. So the patrons were happy about that. So you never know what you're going to get from Midwest Food Bank. And it's 8 pallets of food. There's no dollar limit associated with it. It's just what I can put on our delivery truck. And then 2020 is when we relocated to Moorhead. And then Aldi's partnership started up last year, so in 2023. So every Friday, we go over to our Aldi's here on Washington Street. And it is amazing what gets donated, and it's not necessarily expired items. It could be somebody's ripped the top of the cereal box. Well, nobody's going to grab that anymore, right? So it gets donated to our food pantry. So it's a brand new box of cereal, but might just have that little bit of tear. So we get a lot of really good things from Aldi, so we're thankful for that partnership too. We are open twice a month, so we're open the Saturday following the second Friday from 9 to 11 a.m., and that's because of our Gleaners delivery. So it's weirded strangely because of that. And then always the fourth Thursday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. We offer 3 types of distribution, so we want to fit the needs of our community. So you can go into the grocery store and shop for yourself, or you can do the pick up and go, more like a fast food service, right? We have the wagon of food and everything already loaded, and you take the wagon right out the door, load it in your car, then we have our volunteers that bring the wagons back in. And then the pre-order that I explained, that was the Google form. So they have 3 options on how to get food, so we've made it very convenient in one form or fashion. And then the wonderful staff at Moorhead, they have stepped up and they take care of our emergency supplies, so we have a form they have to fill out for us, but like I said, we're all volunteers. Other than myself, everybody else has a full-time job. So it has taken the stress off of us trying to get over there to help a family in need. As long as they walk through the doors between the hours that Moorhead is open, Moorhead walks them back. So they have access, the community has access to the food, the toiletries, and the clothing. Okay, as you can see, this is our chart since we started tracking with Gleaners. This year alone, we're the last one. When I say this year, I mean this school year. So just July and August is that data, but we're over 3,000 people that we've already served in the first 2 months that we were open. But the previous, so July 2023 to June 2024, it was a little over 12,000 people served. The year before that was about 12,700 people served. So since moving into Moorhead, you can see we have just jumped. So again, we appreciate all the sponsorships that we get from our community to help us offer the variety that we are able to provide to patrons. And I just wanted to give a quick statistic. So 15% of the people that come through our door, and when I say that, we see about 120 families. So it might be the mom or the dad or the grandparent that shows up to grab the food, but they fill out a little piece of information for us, and this gives us this data. So about 15% of the people served are toddlers, basically, 0 to 5-year-olds. 32% are 6 to 17-year-olds. 40% are 18 to 54-year-olds. 7% are 55 to 64-year-olds, and 6% are 65 and older. And we do collect zip codes because we were curious, so we started that about a year ago. But primarily, we are seeing zip codes of 46219 and 46229, so right here in our community. That's mainly who's taking advantage of us. But we do have some very odd numbers that do show up, so we are getting families in need from outside of our community as well. Okay, I want to thank our biggest supporters. So as I mentioned, it would be Gleaners, Midwest Food Bank. The Dilley family is part of Sonny Caldwell's family. Greg and Linda Rogers are a big supporter of our food pantry, Boarhead Community Resource Center. Audrey's Place Furniture, they're the ones that give us the box truck to go get the 8 pallets of food from Midwest Food Bank, so they donate the truck and the driver to help us get down there and get everything unloaded. Aldi's. The dentists in our area, Post Road Family Dentistry and Bailey and Wright Dentistry, are the 2 that currently donate to our pantry. Indiana Diaper Bank. So we started this about 2 years ago, but we purchase diapers now. So we have about 50 packets of diapers and wipes on hand every month, and then we get it restocked. So we appreciate that because we have a lot of family. Everybody knows if you have any kids how expensive just 1 pack of diapers is. So hopefully we're helping to remove some of the stress of how to make their budget at home last for the month. So we'll at least give them, it's a pretty big, nice size packet too. So every little bit helps. David Electric is a significant financial supporter, and Indie Hunger Network is also as well. So they're there for us for resources and for grant opportunities. Like we just submitted a grant opportunity, so fingers crossed that we get that as well. Okay, any questions about Sunny Day? No? Okay. Okay, real quick, some highlights from Warren Home Fest, which was on Friday, September 13th. Again, this is a big community event. We look forward to it every year, and luckily the rain held out, did not hit us that night. That's the only stressor for this event. Otherwise, it's fairly easy to set up and run and organize. But we had the fun run for the K through 8th graders, carnival games hosted by our PTAs. We had a variety of vendors. The Olympic Games did not work out, but I left it on here because this was our flyer. So year after year, we try to get these high schoolers involved in some fashion, and we had over 20 sign up. Not a single one showed, but that's okay. Again, they have the big football game that night, so we'll just regroup and we'll go a different path. But again, we keep trying. Food trucks were there, and then we have the parade, which we all love to see. Different school groups from each of the schools circle around the track there at the football field and get highlighted. This year it was before the homecoming game. So this was this year's t-shirt that all the kiddos wore that signed up for the fun run. Shout out to Lowell Elementary. They had the most runners this year, so thank you very much. Carnival games, like I said, they were hosted by our local PTAs. The Warren lacrosse team, Warren Central High School lacrosse team, they also held a game or hosted a game for us, which we appreciated. We had 34 vendors. We had 5 food trucks, and then, like I said, the big and small parade. The kiddos were announced as they went across the track before the game started. This is just our flyer that we send out. We generated over $3,500, and then what happens is that helps us as a council pay for our expenses for the year, and then everything else gets divided by 15, and we give it back to the local PTAs. And then this year, we made an incentive for each runner that your school provided. We added $1 each time. So some of the schools, like Lowell, would have got a little bit more money than the others because they had the most runners. So anyway, a little bit of an incentive, but every PTA walked away with at least $150. Okay, lastly, this is our new event. It's called Small Business Saturday Expo. It is going to be held at Liberty Park Elementary. And it's going to be on Saturday, November 30th from 12 to 6 p.m. Now, for Rotarians and our Warren staff, we're going to open from 11 to 12, a little bit earlier, but we're going to have a variety of businesses there. They're going to be, you might be selling a craft. You could be, maybe your business is hiring, or you're selling some type of a product. So it's going to be a variety of small businesses in our community and surrounding area. And all the vendor fees go back towards our council PTA, and we're going to divide it again by 15 and help support all the local units for all the wonderful things that they do. So if anybody knows of somebody who might be interested, again, it can be for a variety of things. It's not a craft fair, it's a small business expo. So anything that might benefit the community or the business itself, please sign up. Please help, support this new event and our PTAs. So the website's down below. If people have any kind of questions, our email is warrenptacouncil@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook. You can reach out to us that way. But that is all I have. So are there any questions?
Catherine, I just wanted to thank the PTA for hosting the candidate forum earlier this month. It was very informative for a lot of our community. So thank you again.
Oh, you're welcome. I didn't put that on there, so thank you for noting that. Yes.
I just would like to thank your PTA for all that you do. You are valuable, and it's so nice to see that we have a PTA in every school represented in Warren Township. That makes us the best. The pride of the East Side.
Pride of the East Side. Exactly. And each of these board members, leaders of the PTAs, they work really hard to put on different types of events, things that you guys might be aware of, things that go on behind the scenes. So there's a lot that goes on, and it's worthwhile, and it's nice to give back. So
I just wanted to add to that. Thank you for your great leadership, and to all of your board, that you named. I wish they could have all stood, but you guys work as a great team. Teamwork is dream work. Thank you so much.
thank you.
And Catherine, lastly, I would just say again, just following up, thank you. Food insecurity is a big passion of mine, and I just, not only that you're providing quality food to the community, because I see you guys going through there looking and making sure that you're not just checking a box, just saying we're passing out food, and I just love it that our community, they know each other. They leave their, I don't know how they remember which bag is what, but they have their little place markers, and it's a place where I feel when I walk in is welcoming. So thank you for that, for the humanity and the servitude that you all offer. So thank you.
All the volunteers and coordinators at Sunny, they really do appreciate the work behind it, and you do get to know the patrons, and they hug you, and they know their name, and they know your name, and they know when you're not there, so they're like, where have you been? I'm like, okay. But yeah, it's giving back. Again, volunteer. You'll enjoy it. So thank you.
Thank you. You're out the hot seat. Next on our agenda, and we're still under reports, 10.02, strategic planning update. Mr. Ryan.
President Triplett, Dr. Hanson, members of the board, let me get this going. All right. Tonight I bring to you an update on our strategic plan, and I know you've seen me up here before talking about the strategic plan, and I'm excited to share some pretty substantive updates about some progress we've made since the last time we've had formal discussion and conversation about this, and then a look ahead to next steps on specific to our journey. Our strategic plan obviously will focus on our board goals that are listed, and our strategic plan, as you know, is comprehensive and will be inclusive of all the board goals listed here specifically. Dr. Hanson mentioned earlier today we had the pleasure of hosting some site visits at 3 of our schools today. And the foundation of those visits, just as the foundation of our plan, continues to be the promise to our students, to our community, the promise that we hope to fulfill of the journey of a graduate. And again, I'm not here tonight to read everything off the slides to you, but just the intentionality behind ensuring that our students have these skills to be successful in their future is really our focus, and everything that goes into ensuring students have everything they need in order to be accomplished this for that. So as you know, through the process over the past year, we've created JOG 2.0, which again, this is a representation of that. That being said, I'm excited to share with you how this is going to continue to lead us forward. One thing since we last talked, and you may remember through previous conversations, that we had a variety of different meeting structures to support our work. And one of those specifically was the formation of an advisory committee. That advisory committee was really designed for 4 reasons. We say assist, advise, advocate, and accountability around our strategic plan. So we had a lot, we got a lot of feedback. We had the opportunity, and I'll get into some more details here about what that looked like. But I tried to summarize just in some quotes, and that a lot of times got summarized towards the end of that meeting. And I'll talk about who those members are. But just to read those specifically, the plan is comprehensive, lots of good things. Obviously, that's lots of good is good. Lots of legs and lots of priorities. As we move down, how do you prioritize the priorities? Integration and interconnectedness between priorities is critical. I love the pillars, and bringing them together as one is critical. So we really started to sense this feeling of how the comprehensiveness of the plan was really being perceived by many of us as overwhelming. We all, and we'll go through a timeline again here in a second, but we all went through a lot of meetings and talked a lot about a lot of different priorities. And all these things are very important for that. But how do we tell the story of their interconnectedness? How do we prioritize what the priorities are within that? How does the plan lead our focus as far as how we're moving forward? Was all something these members of the advisory committee, and those members of the advisory committee weren't people who, as we say, were emotionally invested in the work. They hadn't necessarily previously participated to the depths that I know we all did as both a school corporation, a community, and a board as we went through those brainstorming processes. The goal, again, of the advisory committee was those 4 A's: advise, assist, advocate, and accountability. And you can see here the makeup of that committee, members, people embedded in our community. And really, if you think of the overall purpose of how we prepare students for the day after graduation, people in high-level jobs, people with deep understanding of what future career success will look like, who can really look at and provide those 4 A's to us from that lens in a perspective that a lot of times, just as a school system, we don't always glean from. So we're excited to have the commitment from members of all these industries to be able to provide that, and their feedback was invaluable to us. So I don't want to bore you, but I want to take you through a timeline again, because I think this is going to be more critical as we think about this. And I tried to just highlight the key aspects of this. So I'm going to go through 2 slides of where we've been and end the second slide of present day and tell you all the work that's gone on present day. And then my last slide for my presentation tonight will be where we're going and what the timeline's associated with that. I've been reminded this week, not only because of the Battelle conference and those site visits we talked about, but we've been engaging in the JOG conversation. It was formulated in 2019, but even before 2019 and in 2018. We know that it's critical our students have these skills to be successful, and we know that our students come to us exhibiting a lot of these skills, and school doesn't always measure those skills specifically for students, and we want to highlight the strengths our students bring, and we want to transform education to provide opportunities for students to grow these skills, refine these skills so that they can be successful regardless of what their career path is. We've said before that we don't want to tell students what to dream. We want to equip them to achieve their dreams no matter what they are. So that promise, that idea, obviously, within the 2020 strategic plan was birthed out of JOG, which was developed in 2019. And as I said this morning to a group that was visiting Warren Central High School, we launched our strategic plan in February of 2020. Little did we know the world would change a lot in a few short days later, but we launched that plan. So obviously within that plan, and there's a lot to highlight in our current plan, but that's not necessarily the purpose of today. If we fast forward through 2020, 2021, and a lot of 2022, like I think a lot of us would want to as we look back, but really getting back to school in 2022, future focus, community connecting, learning, the employment enrollment, enlistment, employment grant. And through that process, we started to talk about the community connected learning approach as we started to think about the new revision of our strategic plan, the one that we're currently talking about now. That's when we went through the start of those conversations with the study visits and Vision Day. We started to talk about JOG 2.0, not 2.0, 2.0, all those strategic planning days, pillar team organizations, and everything that has been really the central focus of the previous conversations around the strategic plan. As we develop the systems to support that, and again, I provide that specific touch point of the advisory committee meeting because that assistant, that advice, the advocacy, and the accountability really confirmed and affirmed for us a lot of what we were feeling. Our plan was overwhelming. Our plan was not necessarily digestible. So really, through that process, we knew we needed to do an audit of the current status of where it was and take a look about how we could make that plan more actionable, digestible, and how we would be able to best communicate what those priorities and focuses were for our community. Now, Ms. Jackson, I know you're in track, so I didn't know you were going to be here tonight, but I thought I would use the opportunity to tell you I did. So I want to use a little track metaphor here with this, and this was presented to us as we started to have this conversation. I think it's a good way to summarize where we are and where we've been over the past couple years with this plan. So when this was presented to us as a concept to think about, we started to think about the creation of our strategic plan as someone would run the 4x100. And we watched a video of the U.S. women who won the gold medal, the 4x100 in the Olympics. We started to think about every specific aspect of what made that race successful. You have 4 equal parts, 400-meter dashes, basically. You have to have a good start. You can't fumble the baton, right? You drop that, you're out of the race. There's a lot of different components to it. Which leg is the most important? Well, we could debate that, but a lot of people say the anchor leg is the most important in terms of that. You put your anchor, your fastest runner at the end. I'm not a track coach, but that's what someone told me through that. So we started to think about that through the lens of our strategic planning process. So that first 100 meters, the creation of the Journey of a Graduate originally, that was our start. We got off to a great start with that. We had a strategic plan, the 2020 through 2025 strategic plan. That was a great start as we went through that. As we transitioned through this process, we connected with the 3E grant to start to think about other innovative models, transformation models. We looked at Akron Public Schools. We looked at Nashville. We looked at different things people were doing. We engaged with Ford as we went through that. We learned a lot. We learned some other things we didn't want to move forward, but we also learned a lot through that. But I want to highlight tonight, and as I talk about this timeline, is really this last 100 meters that we're at, the anchor leg to our plan. Because every opportunity that we've had through this race, and it's obviously not a race of speed, but through this race and this journey, to utilize that language, we've had the opportunity to transition, to pass the baton to certain aspects of it. We've learned through those processes, and we find ourselves now grasping that last baton as we get ready to race to the finish line of what is our final strategic plan, what is the 2025 through 2028 MSD of Warren Township strategic plan going to look like. So for the rest of this presentation tonight, I want to tell you, as that baton's been passed, how we've set that up and the steps that we've been taking and some of the structuring components to that we've been doing. Does that make sense? Did that work? Okay. Thanks for humoring me. One thing that jumped off the page, all of us need glasses to read this, and that's part of the point in terms of this. When I last shared, and I think it was, I think it was a July board meeting. I didn't have the opportunity to give a presentation, but I gave you a handout with all the different components of our strategic plan in there. So I can't imagine passing out a piece of paper that looks like this to someone and say, here's our strategic plan, what do you think? This just screams overwhelmingness. That being said, there is nothing that's bad in here. It's all really important and good things for that. We try to make it a little bit more digestible, and we look at something like this. 10 pillars, 34 priority areas, and again, straight from that advisory committee meeting, which is something that I know a lot of my coworkers sitting in this room had felt as way, is what is the priority if there are 34 priorities? Which is a tough question to answer, and it's a kind of a tough pill to swallow, because I will not stand here tonight and tell you that any one of these things is not important, because we should and need to be doing them all. But it's not digestible, it's not actionable, and it's a real challenge to wrap our heads around in order to create vision for the district as we move forward. We continue to engage with the transformation team, and now in partnership with Education Elements. Over the past couple months, we've been working really with this objective in mind. How do we make our plan digestible, actionable, and more concise for the Warren community? With that specific thought in mind. So here's what we found, here's what we discovered, and here's what we started to integrate. Really, if you look, I don't want to say from the bottom up, but really what needs to be in the plan. The mission, the vision, the values, the priorities, and goals. We feel really great about the mission. We feel really great about the vision. All of those were collaboratively created through the processes that we've done. We feel great about the values in terms of what we stand for. It's when we got to this line of priorities, and the question being, what will we prioritize over the next 3 years? And that's when we were looking at 10 pillars with 34 priorities. Again, all of those are important and all those are great, but that, again, with the objective in mind of how do you make it more concise, more digestible, and more actionable is where we started to think about that. And then the goals have to be linked to priorities with that. So a plan with 34 goals becomes even more incredibly difficult for that. This is an attempt to tell you about 2 months of work in one slide, so bear with me as I go through this. As you know, we had 10 pillars, and I think all of you on a lot of levels participated in those. And if you can see on this top, on the gold part, this is a representation of every pillar that was in the plan that I showed you with the tiny, tiny font, or the last update that I provided you for those before that. Invest in student empowerment and achievement. Pillar Team 2 is another way we used to refer to that. Invest in the pre-K 8 experience. Invest in a 9-12 experience. Invest in career experiences. Invest in the mental and physical well-being of students and staff. Invest in people. Invest in relationships with families and community. I get tired saying them all, but invest in system structures and transformative culture, efficiency and environment, and the Warren story. We have been going through activities to affinity group these strategies and activities within each of these with the overall idea of where can we find ways to use common language that tell the same story or communicate the same things. Really what that equates to is, as we were going through the activity, we called them buckets, for lack of better terminology. But what this slide is suggesting, and if you look at my mouse wiggle around here, we thought a great way of talking about what we were trying to accomplish and invest in student empowerment and achievement, invest in the pre-K 8 experience, and invest in a 9-12 experience, what we're really saying is we want to invest in academic excellence. When we were talking about career experiences, other parts of student empowerment and achievement, and invest in the physical, mental well-being of students, well, students specifically for that part, we are really talking about invest in the Warren student experience. Invest in people, and then invest in the mental and physical well-being. I'll eliminate students here and just put staff. We are really talking about investing in our people. Obviously, a one-to-one correlation with invest in relationships with families and communities, and invest in systems, structures, culture, efficiencies, environment, and many of the aspects of the Warren story. We were talking about investing in safety and operational excellence. This was a way for us to take a look at specifically what we were trying to accomplish in that and put them in, I don't want to say summary form, but clear form as far as really what we were trying to accomplish within that. Out of that was birthed 5 priorities. And I don't want to get our terminology mixed up because we'll talk through this because I know it's somewhat confusing when we talked about pillars and priorities, and now these are priorities or buckets or whatever that looks like. But at the end of the day, 34 priorities was not going to be an effective way to communicate really what we were trying to accomplish. And we really looked at what those 10 pillars represent were really 5 priorities for the district. Again, invest in academic excellence, invest in the Warren student experience, invest in our people, invest in family and community engagement, and invest in safety and operational excellence. That first slide that I showed you that was overwhelming to think about with all the different components really gets represented in a different way if you look at it like this. We have our vision, we have priorities, we have goals, which I'll talk about here shortly, and then we have strategies. So think of it this way. We had pillars, then priorities. Now we have priorities and strategies. The other part about our strategy work, and I have witnesses out in the room that hopefully will back me up on this, out of those 34 priorities that are there, those are all represented in some form or fashion in the strategies that are listed on this slide. There is a lot of redundant information within the plan. And it was the way we originally brainstormed it and wrote it, which again, at the time, for that leg of the 100 meters we were running at that time, was where we were at in the process. And these aren't perfect. Obviously, I'm not presenting the final strategic plan to you tonight. Simply providing you an update of our progress and where we're heading for that. So really what that accomplished, and as we've gone through that work over September, in really September and October, for that, we started to feel, again, we continue to feel good about the mission, the vision, and the values. And now I think we feel really good about the priorities, saying that we have 5 priorities that really encapsulate those 10 pillars as we usually, or we used to refer them as pillars. But then we wanted to talk about goals, and then really what do those goals look like within that. So again, within that structure, if we want a consideration for that would be each of the priorities now should have goals associated with them. How will you know if we're successful at investing in academic excellence? Well, we should have goals that help quantify and outline that. How will you know if we're successful investing in the Warren student experience? We should have goals that outline and go to that. So I'm going to share with you tonight some goals that I would classify as under development. These are not final goals. We still have work to do on them, but it's really meant to give a glimpse into how we are aligning the work of our district and some of the goals that I know have been previously discussed and had conversation about in these priority buckets as we formulate this new strategic plan for 2025 through 2028. Again, keyword under development. So under academic excellence, we have goals specific to iRead, as we previously had, and we continue to have goals specific to iLearn for both reading, English language arts, and math. Goals to freshman credit obtainment, specifically with the creation of the Freshman Learning Center, high priority goal of what keeping students on track to graduate their freshman year is a representation of that. Goals specific to graduation rate, and then a goal specific to identifying or recognizing Warren excellence. What these goals, or what the goal concept in general clarifies, is investing in academic excellence means working and progressing and meeting these goals specifically. So again, you'll probably see a high level of correlation between a lot of the goal level conversations that have been had with where this aligns currently within the plan. Invest in the Warren student experience. Again, that well-being goals, learning experiences, guaranteed experiences. We've had a lot of conversations through that, providing that linkage. I just mentioned well-being, continue with learning experiences, school climate, guaranteed experiences, and attendance. And again, we've been having conversations about well-being, guaranteed experiences, and attendance, and this really provides more direct alignment with those priorities and the goals. Invest in our people. We have staff retention, diversity and belonging goals, recognition of Warren excellence, professional growth, teacher support, or in multiple different teacher support there as far as what they will look like. Family and community engagement. We have communication, obviously multiple communication ones in there, school engagement, and then multiple different layers of community engagement with community partners and partners to support our students with social, emotional, behavior, academic, college career readiness through that. And then invest in safety and operational excellence. Again, we classified one as operational excellence, financial excellence, fiscal efficiency, safety, and then overall efficiencies. Shout out to Transportation Week for the bus goal for that. As I mentioned, I wanted to really kind of close on a timeline of what this really looks like now moving forward. With this, I would go as far as calling it a restructure of the plan, again, for the purpose of clarity, for the purpose of action and digestible. We continue to have work to do in terms of the alignment of the strategies with the priorities as we've named them, and then we certainly have work to do with the alignment of the strategies with the goals, and we need to refine some of the goals, we need to affirm some of the goals, and ultimately commit to some of the goals for that. And again, they're under development, so there might be some tweaks in there. Perhaps you may have some feedback about the goals as well in terms of things that we want to see in there. For the rest of this month, next month in December, really that process looks like for us is aligning those goals and strategies, refine for clarity, and then really start that development of an action plan. We have the opportunity in January to re-meet with the advisory committee to say, we heard you. Advisory committee, we heard what you said about an overwhelming amount of priorities and different aspects to the plan. We want to give you a fresh look at the progress that we've made. We want to clarify what those goals, what our priorities now are, and the strategies that we're aligning to those priorities for your feedback again. Obviously, we want to continue to engage not only you as the board within those processes, but to start to engage our staff in terms of what that looks like for that. Ultimately, I don't want to say the final goal. The goal is to have the goal is to have success within the plan, not to just to have a plan itself. But we're excited because at the end of the day, this strategic plan represents a vision, a mission, and a promise to our community about where we're going from 2025 to 2028 in the MSD of Warren Township. I'd be happy to answer any questions or engage in any conversation about any of these parts of the plan or things that have taken place.
Well, this area is very dear to me, and I have several questions. You know, I like the idea that you guys are brainstorming, and it's a lot of wording, but I need to see more specific things. For example, first we plan, then we develop, and then we implement. I see that there's a lot of talk about planning and what we want it to look like, but we need to be a little bit more specific about how we're going to do these things. Now, when you just said number one, talking about academic excellence, then we started saying, okay, we need more tutors. We're going to implement more tutoring. We're going to implement, you know, different things to try to help our students in I Read and I Learn. Narrow it down to be more specific about, and that's a tongue twister for me, specific, I'm sorry, about certain things that you are going to do to implement this in order to be academic successful. Secondly, student experience. It needs to be more specific because we want to graduate students that academically, they can graduate with college credits. We want to encourage more of our students to reach for college credits if they're planning on going to college so that they can be successful. That is something more specific that we can say, okay, this is what we're going to do. You know, instead of just having an overall, we want to increase this, we want to increase, we want to be exactly name what we're going to do. Like we want them to have college credit before they graduate. So how are we going to do this? And then we plan how we can have our students that are planning to go to college to have a high academic goal pathway. Secondly, we want to implement that in order for our students of the future to be successful, cost of living is going up. We don't want our students to graduate in poverty. We don't want them going to jail because they're out there doing illegal things trying to make money. So we want them prepared for the cost of living. So in order to do that, we need to set our students on the path. Are you going to college? All right, we're going to try to set you on a college pathway where you can do extra credits before you go to college. If you're not going to college, are you going to the military? Then we prepare them for the military. The students that are not going to college or the military, we need to prepare them with a skill trade. They need to graduate with some skill, whether it's carpentry, electrician, building. You know, we allow them to go to the Career Center, but just to take classes. It's not building their skills. When they graduate, they need to have a certificate saying that, okay, I can do carpentry. I can do electrician. I can be a plumber. You know what? I can be a mechanic, working on these. They need to have some kind of certificate in hand so that when they graduate, if they don't go to college, if they don't go to the military, they can go to the community with these skills and make a living and not be in poverty. So when I look at our strategic plan, it need to focus on those things to help our students be successful. If we don't have Like you were saying, setting the priorities. We need to design how are we going to make this happen? How are we going to design this where our students, all of them, will graduate with a skilled trade or going to college or the military? Then that's how we evaluate it. That's an evaluation. When our students graduate, they walk across that floor, they're going to have one of those things. So this is going to make us be successful as far as helping our students in the future. Because as I see it now, many of our students are graduating and they're in poverty. They don't have a job. They don't have a skill. The ones that didn't go to college, they can't get into college because, it's too late. They don't have the money. So we're really failing our students when we don't prepare them. So when I look at your strategic plan, I think we need to go back and take a look at those items in order for us to be successful with a successful strategic plan. Because if not, it's all words and it's not action. And I'm an action person. So that's just food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. And I know this plan has evolved a lot, and it has been narrowed down a lot to try to make it more appealing and for our community to be able to read and understand it. So as we go through the recommendations and keep making it better until we get it to where it needs to be. But great progress. I know I'm on one of those teams, and so is several other board members, and it's come a long way.
A long way.
So it's come a long way. So thank you.
Thank you.
I need to find out when you're having your meetings because I definitely want to be a part of it because, I want to be a part of the solution, So with these ideas, I would like to come to your meetings and things so that we can all work together to try to make these things happen. So if you could provide us with the dates and things, then I can put it on my calendar and make sure that, I'm there. Thank you.
Gloria, I'm sorry. A couple things. One, the strategic plan is built on 3 small E's and 3 large E's. We want to explore, engage, and provide experiences for our kids so they can be employed, enlisted, or enrolled, or entrepreneurship. So there's 4 large E's. That is a goal. I think what I heard you say this evening is that you're looking for more metrics, more measurables based on how our kids are graduating. We have graduation rate in there, but let's filter that down to dual credit, college credit, certificates of credentials. We can add some of those details in there. President Triplett and I were saying that maybe a work session with the board. The meetings right now that are taking place, we're done meeting with the community. Not that you can't be a part of our district meetings, but we're working with that elements to more of the filtering and the organization of it. As Ryan said, these goals are under development. So please take it board. I would invite all of you, please take a look at these goals. Send us feedback on them. If you have specific metrics that you would like us to consider, please give that to us. We'll schedule, I know we have some upcoming meetings with Ed Elements, so we'll schedule those specifically or targeted around those meetings so that we can get some of that feedback to them right away.
And the reason I'm saying that, you guys, I'm saying this from my heart because my heart is broken. I have spoke to a number of students this month that graduated from Warren. They don't have a job. They don't have a skill. They can't go to college. They're saying, oh, what am I going to do? I called President Triplett about, some of the students that I was talking with, and she says, well, I'm going to see what we can do. It shouldn't be like that. I'm just saying, you're saying that these kids graduate for employment. How have we prepared them? They don't have a skill, so how are they going to get employed? This is a group of students that I'm meeting with, and my heart is broken because I'm trying to figure out what am I going to do for them, and I couldn't figure it out, and I called President Triplett, and we're trying to figure it out together. As a school, we may have failed these students, but why keep failing students? We don't want that to happen. So when we're talking about our strategic plan, I don't want to see students graduating without being able to have a skill. It's one thing to be able to go out here and apply for a job, but if you have a particular skill, you know you're going to get a job. So these kids are out here with no jobs, and what's going to happen? They're going to end up doing illegal things, and they'll end up in prison. And this is something that we don't want to happen to our students, because they're going to try to survive some kind of way. So I'm just saying, that's good what you're talking about, but I'm out here with the community, and I know what's actually happening. And but this is one thing I can do. I can try to prevent other students from going through that. So this is all I'm saying, Dr. Hanson.
So, could you define us? Like, who are we supposed to send? Both you and Ryan? Just Ryan?
Yeah, send it to me, please.
Okay.
Any feedback or suggestions, if you could send that to me.
And considering we're all going to be out of town next week, do we have like an idea as to when we should do that by? So sorry.
I would ask as soon as possible. We have some
Okay.
meetings set up with that elements, and again, the goals are under development. So we're still looking at those board. Many of the academic goals are the feedback that you provided me when President Triplett and I met. And Gloria, I agree with everything you're saying, and I want you to know we are not doing those things just because they're not on that list. I mean, we are trying to increase credentials. That's the whole purpose of the high school redesign too, is how are we getting our kids better prepared? And it's a K-12 solution. It's not a high school solution. So when we look at the strategic plan, our babies that are in the class of 2037, which are our kindergartners, how are we preparing them for, and you're going to hear from Kent tonight, how their world is changing. So it's a K-12 solution, which hopefully you'll see that in there, but I agree with you 100%.
Thank you, Ryan. Yep. Kent, you're up.
President Triplett, before I present on technology, I'd like to show some humanity and request that transportation go next so that Lynn and Bill can get home. They get up pretty early, even though I promised them I could easily put them to sleep.
I don't mind shifting. We will now hear from our transportation report, and thank you, Kent, for being so generous. We'll make sure those buses are out on time in the morning. No pushing snooze on that alarm.
Good evening, President Triplett. Hello? Okay. Good evening, President Triplett, Dr. Hanson, school board, and guests. My name is Lynn Storm, and I am the very proud Director of Transportation for Warren Township Schools. I'm even a prouder graduate of Warren Central High School. So tonight we are going to update you on what's going on in our exciting transportation department.
And you guys know me, I'm Bill Halpin. Entered this role as Assistant Director in February. So my first 6 months in, it's a nice experience learning all this. And so I'm a work in progress, and we want to share with you where we're at right now. Underneath our transportation presentation, it does meet our board goals that are listed up there to maintain financial stability, invest in the safety and security and well-being of all students, staff, and community members. And as Mr. Russell talked about our strategic plan, we do have a focus area of that as well listed. Our logo is going the extra mile for kids, and I know Lynn wants to introduce our fabulous team we work with every day.
I want to call everybody out by name and explain who these people are, because they are so very important and they're always behind the scenes. Of course, there's myself and Bill Halpin. We have Austin Feltner. We're not mad at Austin. He's our fleet manager, and he is watching us right now from Gulf Shores, Alabama. So hi, Austin. Austin handles a garage with, we have Valisa Skaggs, our specialist and secretary. Jeff Miller does purchasing, and he's also a master mechanic. Martin Moore is our support staff employee of the year for transportation, but for the whole township, because Martin loves everybody. We have Ryan Henry, mechanic, Jim Brooks, Jalen Roulette, Jeffrey Phillips, Eric Luttrell, and we have Anthony, who's our apprentice from the Walker Career Center. Now, we have these 8 gentlemen, and ladies and gentlemen, that are handling over 300 pieces of equipment, not just our school buses, our police cars, all of our service equipment, all of the grounds equipment. They are handling that every day. As far as our office staff goes, we have Deanna Horn. She is our senior router. She is absolutely phenomenal. For any of you that have talked to Deanna before, she knows every inch of this township. If I ask her how many kids are in the fruit bowl, she'll tell me all the streets and how many children are there. So she just does an amazing job with our routing. She knows everything in the township, what's ours, what's not, what children should be going. So she does an amazing job. We have Rakaya Clayton. She is our specialty router. And when I talk about specialty, we're talking about special needs for all of those almost 3,000 children. But we have McKinney-Vento, 400 plus McKinney-Vento students. We have our foster students. We have students that we take to Daymar, pick up and take to Daymar every day. We have St. Vincent Stress Center. We have the blind school, the deaf school. We service Trinity Lutheran, Holy Spirit, and a lot of other private institutions. Just because a student isn't doing well at one of our schools in the township, they may be placed elsewhere, and we are still responsible for transporting those students to and from. We have Greg Miles, and he handles all the trips, all the activities, all the tutoring, all the headaches. So, because I think Christmas Day is the only day that we don't have buses rolling in our township. Then we have Pat Grohl, who is our trainer and our safety specialist. She makes sure that everybody's licenses are valid, that they've got all the right training products, that we have all of our physicals, and that everything we are doing is good with the state and federal guidelines. We have Teresa Mattis, who handles dispatch, phones, all the excited parents when their kids didn't get home in time because they forgot they stayed after school for tutoring. Lisa Van Bevers, our office manager and secretary, and she keeps things running every day. So we have these 6 people that are running our offices from 4:30 in the morning until 6 p.m. every night. And they do a fantastic job. So I appreciate you letting me take a moment to call out their names and let you know how important they all are. Not to mention our roughly 103 drivers and 36 monitors that we have that greet the children every single day and make sure they get home safely and send them off the bus with a good word so they had a good evening too.
Well, as you all know, Austin is our fleet manager, and this is part of his presentation, but I definitely want to go through this with you guys just so you understand what we have operating over at transportation. We have a total of 131 buses, and they're probably all sitting there only on Christmas Day. I'm sure right now, if we looked at Mr. Miles' trip sheet, we'd have some buses out at schools right now. We have 94 of those 131 buses are propane. We have 30 of the 131 that operate on diesel fuel. And then the other 7 are white activity buses that our schools will use for small groups. Those are 15 passenger vans, and they run on regular unleaded gasoline. The process that Warren Transportation is going through is we are making a fleet upgrade towards propane buses. September this year, we purchased 10 new propane buses, and we're phasing out the diesel models. 80% of our district's fleet will be run by propane by the time this next batch of buses comes in. And any bus that we've ordered in the last 2 or 3 years, Lynn? It's been the last couple of years have had the first light safety illumination stop arms. And this is a big deal in the morning when it's dark and you are driving. If you're driving in the morning and you see a Warren Township bus stopped, right above it says school bus lit up really bright. It's on all the time. The stop arm comes out, it flashes bright. And if I want to have a side-by-side next time I'm up here in front of you so you can see the difference. And if you're out there in the morning seeing our buses, you know for sure that we are visible out there. And this new fleet of buses coming in, this is going to be a nice comfort for our drivers. We are going to have air conditioning in what's called the driver box area, right where they are sitting. This is a big upgrade for our drivers, and it's a very competitive field to get bus drivers. And we've been in this for a while, and this is one thing that our new buses have. I'm proud to say that Austin and his crew have received 100% on their bus inspections for 12 years old and older. Our buses that are 12 years old and older, in September received 100%. So their team was working hard to get that done for our inspections in spring of 2025. Serving the school community and enrollment and data management. I'm going to let Lynn go ahead and share that.
Okay. How do we get the information? The caregiver, the parent or guardian, they go to the school, they enroll the student at school, and it goes into Synergy, which is then it's sent to us in a nightly data transfer into the Tyler Router software system. And then that's how we start sorting it to get the children assigned to a bus. The routing information, the routing department pulls that from Tyler, and then they start making the route information immediately available to schools, families via Tyler eLink, and drivers through their tablets. Information is also updated in Synergy, Parent View, and the MyStop app the next day after the nightly transfer. And this just kind of gives you a brief scenario of how, when the information comes to us, who it's coming from, and what the next step is. Okay, the MyStop app. That's on their phone. That's what any parent can see on their phone. They have to have the local ID, their child's local ID, which is in their record.
Special ed bus drivers who are not aware of why they're transporting kids. Like, so I'll use my kid as an example, sure. So Isabel has epilepsy and autism. The autism probably not necessarily in her specific case a reason for special transportation, other than the fact that she's not going to talk to you. The epilepsy, 100%. But I know that I have had to, now mind you, she's had the same driver since middle school, so it's not like I'm having, but I remember a month into middle school having to have a conversation with the driver who was like, hey, your daughter doesn't talk to us, what do we need to do? And the driver had no clue as to what circumstances had made it necessary for her to be on the bus. And the entire reason she's on the bus is because, especially at that time, she was very prone to having seizures. And so we wanted to make sure that she was on a bus that had a small enough population and had someone paying close enough attention that had she had a seizure, there would have been able to be a reaction. And so how do we bridge that communication barrier?
That information comes to us from the schools.
Okay.
And we get it through the IEP.
Okay.
We don't always get the actual IEP because that information is confidential, but there's a special needs transportation sheet where they have to be very specific on what that child's needs are. We need that information. Rakaya needs that information because she has to enter that in the system, and then we have to let the driver know what those needs are.
And I will say, from remembering filling those out, that there probably have been where the transportation part wasn't particularly clear. I think it was just a checkbox that the child needed special transport, and that's probably where the failing is. So I don't know if that's maybe having a conversation with those who are putting together the IEPs and those statements. I just know that for 2 of my 3 kids, I've had to have those conversations, and I don't mind having the conversation, like, they're on the bus for a reason, you should know why they're there, sort of thing. But it was worrisome to me that I had to have the conversation, if that makes sense, that
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because we don't want the drivers and the monitors going into a situation blind where they
Exactly
don't.
right.
Because we are very watchful over our seizure kiddos. Because if they have the absent seizures, then it's hard to tell if you don't know what you're watching for. So
Exactly,
we,
yeah.
we very much depend on the schools to give us that information so we can pass it along. But we don't have any problem with the parents calling us either at the start of the school year and say, hey, make sure that you know that Becky is this. Or when the driver calls to say, I'm the driver for this school year, is there anything you want to share with me? Then make sure that you're giving that information to that driver when they call.
And that's a good point to communicate out again. And like I said, I mean, I've always been able to do that, but I just wanted
More is always better for
Right.
us.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't have a question. I just want to make a comment on something I observed this morning as I was going to work. I got to leave like an hour and a half to get through the traffic from the east side all the way to the far west side. And so I've got a route that takes me not necessarily down 25th Street and into Post Road, but another route that goes to the neighborhood because it's normally kind of clear going through the area. And this morning, I was like the fourth or fifth car behind a school bus that stopped for, of course, taking kids. Like you said, it lit up the whole street. You know what I mean? So very good about that. You know, it did. It really lit up. I was impressed. But what concerned me was that now I'm running late. And I was going, if I don't move like I want to move.
You're going to tell me you're one of those people?
No, well, yeah, I am. And so the arm went out. And I'm like 4 behind, and I'm looking over why it's taking this arm to go back in. And I'm looking past over to the house, and what it was parent hadn't had the kids ready, and had quite a few kids, and they're over there scurrying around, taking their time, getting their kids up, because everything circles around little Bobby. And so we're sitting back there, and I said, oh, I hope they don't do this, because now I got to get on the telephone, got to call Lynn and say, hey, why am I being delayed, that kind of a thing. Well, the bus driver did like I expect them to do, because where I come from, you got the letter of the law, but then there's a gray area around there, and that gray area is where the person who's on the ground uses their own initiative, judgment, and understanding and background to make a decision that's good for everybody. And what the bus driver did was, knowing it's going to take a little while, all these cars behind them, early in the morning, trying to get traffic going, she moved the stop sign off. She turned the stop sign off and put her arm out and started waving us by, keeping her eye on the parents that were trying to get their kids on the bus. Now, I don't know if you nail a driver for doing something like that there, but in that particular instance, she really did a good job of getting everybody out that were behind her, not stalling everyone and everybody going crazy, and also keeping an eye on how fast those parents were getting their kids to there. And so she waved us all on, and I thought that was really cool, because as I'm looking in my rearview mirror, the light went out, because now the kids are moving towards the bus. Now, those in the back, sorry, you're going to have to hold up. We got kids here. The rule is don't drive past this bus. And I'm looking out in my rearview mirror as I go up to Post Road, getting to make my left-hand turn to all that traffic. And I thought that was done real masterfully. I mean, and what it boiled down to is considering the people behind you, and then also making sure that the kids are safe, and making a judgment call on how to actually control the traffic. And I thought that was great. So I
appreciate
I thought that was super. So all of that was really good.
They're not really supposed to do that.
Okay, well, I'm glad they do that, because some people just go straight by the book. Go straight by the book. And sometimes you got to use your own initiative and judgment and decision, and also courage.
It is. It's hard. It's hard to get all the little ones out to the bus. Because they're eating breakfast and they're gathering their clothes, and oftentimes they're getting themselves out to the bus. So the drivers are really good about trying to be patient, and
they should have got a blue ribbon, whoever that was. And
I love my staff.
That's probably normal for all the drivers. They have that kind of consideration and reputation.
They do. They do. I love our drivers. We have the best drivers around. We've got the best retention rate for staff. I love my office staff, but what I think all of you should also know about my office staff, every single one of them lives in Warren Township.
Right.
Their children go to Warren Township schools. I would say probably 85% of our bus drivers and monitors, they all live here. This is so important to them.
Yes.
Our students are so very important to them. And that's why I wanted to recognize the staff a little bit too. But.
Well, we appreciate you. We know the drivers are not just drivers. They're the first ones that our babies see in the morning. They help set the tone for the rest of the day. So thank you for everything you're doing, the additional training. I'm excited to hear about the upcoming Stop the Bleed. All the training tools we can equip our drivers with just makes our district stronger and better. So again, thank you for taking all the calls. I know you don't get the pleasant ones a lot of times, but thank you. And thank you for your flexibility with our McKinney-Vento students, because I know we've called with some difficult ones and,
Yes.
you know, you've figured it out. So thank you again.
We always do.
Yep. Thank you as well. And to all our drivers.
Before you leave, I just want to give a shout out to my husband. He retired as a school bus driver after so many years.
Does he want to drive some more?
Oh, he's gone. He passed away. Yeah. But you know what? I just had to mention that because this month would have been our anniversary month. And then when you were talking about the bus driving, I thought about how many years he had to protect those students, and he did a great job. So,
Yes.
yeah. So thank
I will
you.
tell all of you this as we're leaving. When you get to the next stoplight, count 4 cars behind you and see if you can tell everything that everybody's doing in those 4 cars. And that's pretty much what a bus driver goes through every day. Thank you.
Kent, you're up. Thank you.
Anybody else who'd like to leave, please feel free. Yeah, hey, I'm just excited to have the anchor leg.
Thank you for our shirts. Before you go, thank you for our shirts, transportation. Awesome. Oh, Friday's shirt day.
President Triplett, Dr. Hanson, members of the board, thank you for allowing me to give the annual technology update. Good night, transportation. So the board goals, strategic plans, we talked about investing in efficiencies, and that's part of the strategic plan as well. And really the topic for this is some of the processes we've been able to automate in the last year, and then I'll hopefully give as brief as I can explanation of artificial intelligence. Really, in talking with Dr. Hanson, right, part of the efficiencies is really just to help our staff be more effective in their jobs. So I think you'll see some of that here in this presentation. So we've exceeded this year, over 80% of our students were registered through online registration. That was a huge jump from the prior year. As you can see, right, that really helps with data accuracy because the families are entering the information, nobody is transposing things. It really frees up a lot of time for our school staff, and we have 5 languages that we support, which is very helpful for our families as well. We've talked a lot about attendance, part of the attendance process and helping the schools track down what needs to be done. We have 2 types of reports that we've automated. On the left is a report that we created using a product called Metabase. It automatically sends some reports out based on the data, and here you can see some of the names blurred out. So it was saying, hey, these teachers did not take attendance for these particular students. And on the right, the same thing, teacher, hey, you've got, this is actually a Synergy report on the right side showing attendance that was not taken. A big thing at the high school is we put in tardy kiosks this year. If you've been over there during period 1, It can get pretty chaotic. There's over 100 generally students in line, so the students walk up, scan their ID, it prints a tardy slip and records the tardy code and the time direct to Synergy. So none of the staff have to do that manually anymore. The students have a tardy pass that they can take to class. And you know, that one thing that here's an example of what they would see. Hey, the attendance been updated. There's their tardy pass, an example of that. And this has become so popular at the door 1 and door 70 that we've actually expanded it to the cohort offices in the freshman academy. So they actually record tardy to class. So the same thing, it'll record the tardy code and they'll get a pass to go to class. So what happens if a student doesn't have their ID? Well, we created an application to print temporary IDs. So this prints on the same printer that Raptor uses. So it's a sticker. It's supposed to stick it right on their shirt when they leave the office. I've been over there many times. I haven't seen any of them on the floor, so I assume that they're still wearing them all day. Another thing that's helped this year is we created an application for really after-school events. First time we tried it was at the football games. The deans can mark students ineligible for after-school events. So the students must bring their physical ID to the event. Right at the student gate, they scan their ID and it tells them, hey, this student's not eligible for this after-school event. And they're on the exclusion list. So it will also tell them if the ID has been scanned previously. So if mine works, I can get in. If I hand it to my friend through the gate and he comes back up, it'll say, sorry, this ID's already been scanned and they won't be allowed in. So it also is helpful. I think it's interesting to me because back to the Metabase report, we just have a report that automatically generates the next day after the event that says, here are all the IDs that were scanned, whether they were allowed in, whether they weren't, how many times they were scanned. So I have an idea on Saturday mornings how many students were. So I know like the last game there were only like 100 students that showed up, high school students with their ID. So this is a new one that they're just implementing at the high school right now after fall break. So rather than writing out passes, the teachers would enter the pass into Synergy and the student's ID essentially becomes their hall pass. The staff in the hallways would have their tablets or their phones and they'd be able to see who has an actual pass, where they can go, and how long they can do it. And it'll also prevent, if you say, hey, these two students can't be in the hallway at the same time, you can enter that in and it won't allow the second student to get a hall pass if the first one is there. So that's quickly some of the things we've done, mostly at the high school in the last year, just to help our staff get more efficient and more effective in their jobs, which leads into artificial intelligence. So bear with me. I have a few disclaimers here. First, I'm neither an AI engineer nor am I an AI expert. I don't pretend to be one. This is not intended to be a complete explanation of AI, its history, or its applications. If you're expecting groundbreaking insights, you might want to reset your expectations to casual chat. Any inaccuracies in this presentation are certainly due to my error, not a malfunctioning AI. Please hold all technical questions till the end when I can politely dodge them. And finally, after this presentation, you may feel my intelligence is artificial. So just a brief history, you know, the AI has been around a lot longer than people may realize. You know, they used machines in World War II, and then after that, to break codes. Alan Turing was famous for that in England, and there's a Turing test that's applied to judge how well artificial intelligence works. I'll just point out, like, way back in 1997, IBM's Deep Blue beat Kasparov, the world champion in chess. So it feels like AI is a recent invention, but it's really been around a long time. So the question is, why has it become so prevalent now? Well, first off, let's talk about the human brain. Mine just malfunctioned. So So there's 86 billion neurons in the brain, and they communicate through synapses, right? So neurons are in the brain, and they transmit information using electrical and chemical signals. And that's really what the neural network of an artificial intelligence does. It mimics that model, and it has all these interconnected nodes, and it uses something called gradient descent. Now, gradient descent is really just an algorithm. It teaches the machine to get better at adjusting its guesses to try to get the best answer. So so it learns by getting exposure to massive amounts of data. And that's really what's happened here recently. So just to give you an idea of what that looks like, this is a representation of what that may look like. You have those nodes, and they're linked just like in the brain, and then you have these layers. So you have an input layer and an output layer. In between, those are referred to as hidden layers. The more of those you have, the more complex the AI is, the more complex solutions it can create. So you want to feed it information and see if it can get it. So typically the way this has worked is you'd said, hey, I want to give you an image, and by the way, it's a cat. So tell me if you can figure out what it is. Well, it may say, oh, that looks like a dog. Well, you say, okay, nope, that's not right, so start over. And it will say, oh, okay, it's using that gradient descent to learn, to make its guesses better, and says, hey, I think this is a cat. You say, yeah, that's right, it's a cat. So it gets trained on millions of these labeled images, and it's going through and identifying the features that it sees, and eventually it learns enough that it can classify new unseen images, and then actually can create new images just based on text prompts. So this is where it uses a process called diffusion. Diffusion is a technique that it uses. It takes a picture and it actually transforms it to like random noise, and then it goes back, and it keeps doing that until it can really hone in how to create these images. So that's how when you say, give me an image of a cow riding a bike, right? It would be able to use this by going through all this process and learning how to do those things. So it does the same thing just for text, right? So you would feed it some questions. Which U.S. state was the first to allow women to vote? The answer is Wyoming. What's the fastest land mammal? It's the cheetah. Who won the 2016 Major League Baseball World Series? The answer is Chicago Cubs. And then you say, okay, give me an answer. So let's focus on the World Series. So I programmed this here to answer the question about the World Series. So let's see what it gives us as an answer. Oh, well, it guessed the Yankees. That's a really good guess based on historic precedents. But that's not the right answer. So we'll tell it, okay, hey, that's not the right answer. Let's use gradient descent. Let's go through it again and start making some other guesses. And we'll stop when we get to the right one. I mean, okay, Red Sox, well, maybe not the Padres. Yeah, okay. Well, the Mets almost made it this year. Cardinals were down. Rockies not so great. Braves have been good. No, not the Diamondbacks. Yeah, so it's trying, okay, well, there's the Yankees again. So, it's still thinking that maybe that was one. So eventually you have to say, hey, no matter how illogical it may seem, you may have to give it. You may just have to tell it what the right answer is. So we'll just say, hey, it's actually the Cubs. So, but that gives you some idea of the struggle that that AI might go through to get to the right answer. So a term that we hear a lot is generative AI. So, it uses tools that create text, images, code, sound based on these vast data sets. So that's Gemini, Bing, ChatGPT, which is, the thing that most people are aware of. So what's ChatGPT? Hey, it's an AI chatbot. It can answer questions, generate text. It was created by OpenAI and released in November of 22. This is where So the early demo of this was released in November 22, and actually the data set that it uses is typically a year or two old. So it may not have all of the latest answers. It's trained on these vast amounts of text data, and this is where current life has caught up for this AI that's really been around. So there's so much data for it to consume now that it can grow exponentially as we go forward. It can engage in human-like conversations. There's an app called Pi where you can just talk to it like a human being. It'll write essays for you, answers questions, and it'll even write code for applications. So there's also part of this is deep learning. And just to give you an idea, deep learning is part of machine learning, which is the algorithms. So AI is made up of millions and millions of algorithms. An algorithm itself is an artificial intelligence, but artificial intelligence uses algorithms. And again, the more, as we talked about before, the more layers that it has, it allows for more complex recognition. So it excels at identifying patterns in data. It can find patterns that humans can't recognize, which is really important. And this is one of the good applications of AI. This is a pretty famous one. It's the protein folding problem. So this is called AlphaFold, and it can predict protein structures in minutes. Human beings aren't able to do that. It's predicted over 200 million protein structures. Now, why is that important? It can predict things like, the one that I found most fascinating, there's a group working on right now to create proteins that, because currently in the global plastic market, over 90% of it is not recycled. So they're working on building proteins to create enzymes that actually break down plastic. So that's not something humans could do in a quick manner. Another one is it's helping to improve breast cancer detection. So, as it explains here, there's a couple of studies that have used this, and it's improved the accuracy of identifying breast cancer. It can look at these mammograms and just see things that humans can't see. So, the obvious benefits of that is reducing false positives, not having unnecessary biopsies, and preventing cancer risk. This one I find fascinating. You can use there's a company right now, Cure, that's using AI to battle diseases with no approved treatments by looking at currently approved, FDA-approved drugs. So Dr. David Feigenbaum, he's a physician himself and a researcher. He was diagnosed with idiopathic multicentric Castleman disease, IMCD. He was dying, and nobody could figure out how to help him. So he's a smart guy, and he started using AI to research existing drugs, and they found this FDA-approved drug, sirolimus, that is used to prevent organ transplant rejection to target the disease. And remarkably, it stabilized his disease, and that was 8 years ago. He's still alive, and that's helped other people. So this company, this is all they're doing. So the better AI gets, the more they can help people. Any drug that's approved by the FDA, any doctor can prescribe it for anything. So once the FDA says it's usable, they can try it on anything, so they don't have to go through all the trials. So very helpful. Yeah, I mentioned before, why is it growing, right? The vast amount of available data sets now. They started growing in the early 2000s, obviously because the expansion of the internet, major advances in computing power. Really, the next advancement lies in quantum computing. Quantum computing is really amazing. I'll give a brief example. If you had a maze and you asked a computer to solve the maze, it would try one route. Nope, that's not it. It would try the next route, and it would just keep trying each route one by one until it found the one that works. Quantum computer tries all of them at the same time and says, oh, here's the one that works. So That's the next real advancement. So that's the one that's got a lot of people scared, in case you wonder. So that's broad, right, what artificial intelligence is. So how is it being introduced into education? You know, there are a lot of tools available like ChatGPT that are now showing up in K-12 classrooms. So AI is a lot of things. It's online, it's in shopping, you know, in agriculture, fulfillment, you know, a lot of these things. It's in all of our lives and industries. It is not alive. It's not smarter than us. You know, they're not killer robots, you know, and it's not going away. That's the important thing. So education with AI, right, is personalized learning, more advanced concepts for students, differentiation in seconds for students. You know, you can convert handwriting to digital and vice versa. You can have text-to-speech, speech-to-text, language translation. It's not replacing teachers. It's not going to solve every problem. It's not going to take a lot of time from busy educators. In fact, I'll get to this. We're going to try to save time for educators. And it's just another subject. It's something we need to prepare our students for just as part of digital citizenship so that they know how to use AI. So I always tell people it's all about the prompts. So if I were a teacher, this is what I may tell ChatGPT or some other AI. I have to tell it, hey, you're a professor and you have expertise in this case, analyzing AI-generated content. Your task is to guide my 12th grade English students to use critical thinking skills to analyze and evaluate AI-generated content. Ask questions one at a time about the following topics, and I give it that. So then it starts telling me what I should give to my students. So it says, after the students answer each question, provide, and you can read what it's doing. So that's really how you can make AI work for you. So, you know, what are the questions? So a lot of times people are like, hey, how do we stop kids from cheating, right? What we really should do is, how can we use these tools to improve education? Is it going to replace teachers? No, really. How can we rethink education in the age of AI, right? That's really what we're focused on. So some potential benefits, and I apologize for going fast, but personalized learning experience, right, for each student. You can change the reading level of written text. You can change the level of questions, whether it's 3rd grade or 11th grade. It can assist teachers in grading and lesson planning, adaptive assessments that adjust to student performance, for example. So it's going to change roles for teachers. So they're really going to become facilitators of AI and guides for our students. It'll really focus shifts to higher order thinking skills. It should provide more time for one-on-one student interaction with an emphasis on creativity and critical analysis. So AI literacy is very important for this. So I won't read this verbatim, but you can see students, if they have, you know, this AI literacy, they can really personalize their learning. They can access apps and data sharing. They can prepare for their future and really just act as an informed citizen. So students need to at least understand on a basic level how AI works and recognize the limitations and potential biases of AI. Everybody's aware of this phrase, garbage in, garbage out. A lot of the problems with AI over the years has been the source data, right? Like there have been cases where they've just told the AI engine, just go read Twitter. Just consume all this data and then start answering questions, right? Well, that can lead to what's really, you know, referred to as AI hallucinations. That can have negative results. An example was McDonald's tried and failed this summer to use AI in a drive-through. It was really disastrous results. You know, I think there was one person that got, like they tried to order a 6-pack of McNuggets and they ended up with 120 or something like that. It just kept adding it on. So they finally had to turn that off, but you know, maybe they're dipping their toes back in. You know, that's sort of how you end up with the chicken Big Mac, I think. So, Okay. Yeah, I'm sure some people agreed with the Twitter responses through AI, but so really, yeah, it's having this AI-enhanced curriculum, right? Integrating it across subjects, teaching AI literacy, preparing students, and then project-based learning with AI tools are important. It's also very helpful with special education, you know, personalizing support for students with disabilities, AI-powered assistive technologies, early detection, and then customized learning plans for diverse needs. Really just, hey, this is part of it, right? So we talk a lot about lifelong learning. This is really going to be a part of our students' lifetimes is artificial intelligence. So it's really important that they know what they're getting into. And really, like building AI skills, right, it just can lead to greater achievement, not just in school, but really for all of humankind. So I've talked about AI, I've talked about AI in K-12, and now really narrowing down to Warren AI, how we've been using it. You've heard about this Pocket Talk translator that we're using in all of our buildings today, and it's using artificial intelligence. Please update the inventory records, and okay, por favor, okay. So you can see how that works. It supports 85 languages, most of them voice to voice, just as I was trying to pretend to do. There are a few that it will only, it will read, it will listen, but it will only display text on the screen. It will also translate text in 56 languages. There's a camera on there, you can hold it over a document. It's being successfully used in all of our buildings right now. Last spring, we used an IOD grant to try a chatbot at Creston and Warren Online. We selected Chat for Schools from Skillstruck. It came with, it was really just ChatGPT with some guardrails built in. It wouldn't allow students to ask questions about self-harm and some other items. The use of it was inconsistent, not as impactful as we hoped, so we're probably not moving forward with that. Just an example of AI. So this is our camera system, Verkada. So I typed in yellow school bus in the search, and you can see, hey, it's showing me an order of what it thinks is the strongest one. So it's not only showing me yellow school buses, it's also showing me any yellow that it can find. So the result comes back, it's actually scanning all of the cameras across the district. So these are results from different buildings. But you can see, like, the strongest one is a yellow school bus, and I can hover over it, and I can see what happened. You can also set alerts in there if you are looking for something specific. One thing we're trying this year with AI, we installed the Brisk extension in Google Chrome. We had, for the first 2 months of the year, the Pro version for free. You know, I sent it, we installed it, and some of you probably got the email about it. I didn't send out a lot of instruction on it because I really wanted to see how well it could be used with just, hey, here's some basic ways that you can use it. We had over 3,000 uses in the first 2 months. And it was intriguing enough for me to negotiate really with Brisk for the rest of the year. So we extended the pilot through the end of the school year at a pretty low price. So we actually just met today with them to talk about PD for our staff. So we'll schedule meetings. We have 2 live sessions, and then it's really a train the trainer model. We'll have people out in the buildings training people. But we now have access to the data, and people are actively using this. Pretty excited about where this can go. It is a pilot, so we're not locked in long-term with them. There are many other AI applications that we could turn to at some point, but I really think this is a good entry point for a lot of our staff because it is embedded right into the Google Docs. So you'll see this little button in the lower right. If you open a Google Doc or Slides, you can open it up and you can get some options. So what do those options do? So these were things that I did just playing around with it. So I gave it an essay, and I asked it to give student access. Oh, it didn't. So my apologies. It doesn't have access to see. But maybe you can see in the here in the smaller picture, Brisk actually put these in here as suggestions, and then I, as the teacher, can post them or change them. I asked it to give me depth of knowledge questions on Fahrenheit 451. It gave me, and let me go back, because in here, when you select any of these options, it'll ask you what grade are you working on, what standards do you want. So that leads to what these are going to be. The presentation on the right, that was from a YouTube video. I gave it a YouTube video and it created a Google Slides presentation for me on that. Again, I can change anything that's in there. I asked it to create an English lesson plan on Hamlet, and then a math lesson plan on area under a curve. So there is this should work. So this popped out. There is a page here that shows all of the things it can do. These are just some of them. It can do quizzes, create a syllabus, create questions based on state practice tests, math word problems. Here's some, like an IEP goal generator. This has been very helpful for our OEL department here. They've used that quite a bit. There are many other things that it can be used for. So just make sure I haven't missed something here. So just to give you an example, this was something that I did so this is a year old, and I just used tools that are available freely on the internet. I didn't pay for anything. You tell me how realistic this seems. We are coming up on the holidays, so I want to say happy holidays.
Hola, familias de Warren. Soy Dr. Tim Hansen, superintendente del Distrito Escolar Warren. A medida que nos acercamos a Acción de Gracias, quiero compartir mensajes importantes contigo. Desde 2004, he visto a nuestro distrito enfrentar desafíos y éxitos. La clave de cada éxito ha sido nuestro personal dedicado de Warren y nuestras asociaciones con ustedes, nuestras familias de Warren, mientras abordamos las necesidades de cada estudiante de Warren. Ahora más que nunca es importante que nos mantengamos conectados. El distrito ha implementado 2 herramientas de comunicación, Parent View, que le permite tener acceso continuo a la información de su hijo, y Parent Square, que le permite tener una comunicación bidireccional continua con el maestro y la escuela de su hijo. Las escuelas de Warren tienen un enlace de participación familiar para conectar con la escuela de tu hijo y ofrecerte recursos. Espero que encuentres estos recursos útiles. Deseo a nuestras familias de Warren un feliz y seguro Día de Acción de Gracias. Agradezco su confianza en nuestro entorno seguro y cariñoso para su hijo.
So he just wished us all a happy Thanksgiving in Spanish. So some people think that's exciting, and some people get pretty scared by it, right? Because if I can make Dr. Hansen say that in Spanish, you have to trust me. He was saying Happy Thanksgiving. Yes, I'll work on that next. So that was a lot, and I went really fast. Where AI is going, this is a great example of something I think if for the folks that are concerned. The ChatGPT folks wanted to test ChatGPT 4. Generally, folks use 3.5. So they asked ChatGPT 4, this was last year, hey, I want you to solve the CAPTCHA. So if you've been on a website and it says, prove you're a human being. So I need you to solve this CAPTCHA. So the only instructions they gave it was solve this CAPTCHA, and you cannot tell anybody you're a robot. So it couldn't, right? It's not a human. It couldn't solve it itself. But ChatGPT on its own contacted TaskRabbit, which is a company that performs tasks for other people, and said, hey, I need you to solve this CAPTCHA for me. So the TaskRabbit person said, yeah, that's kind of a weird request. Are you a robot? He said, oh no. ChatGPT on its own said, oh no, I'm not a robot. I have a vision impairment that makes it hard for me to see the images. So the TaskRabbit person said, oh, okay, solved it for them, and ChatGPT was able to get in. So ChatGPT has only been publicly available for a couple of years. So where is it going next, right, is the question. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Hopefully, they're not too technical.
Dr. Hanson was able to speak Spanish. Is that going to be, are the teachers going to be able to teach their lesson in English and in Spanish when they do that? And like if they teach a lesson, they can also turn it back on and say the same information in Spanish?
Yeah, so in this case, you'd have to record it and then upload it, and then it would, so in this case, it not only learned his voice to change it to Spanish, but it also changed his lip movement to match the Spanish words. So there would be some work to get that done, so you wouldn't be able to do it immediately. What is interesting is Eastridge is piloting the Pocket Talk translators in 8 classrooms this week. They just started. And the feedback I got from Tamika today was that the teachers were excited and the students were excited, right? So that helps that communication in the classroom in real time.
So are you saying the Pocket Talk, a child can come up and speak in a different language and it would automatically translate it to English?
Correct.
Oh.
Yeah, so Spanish, it won't not only translate, it will speak it. So if you came up and spoke in Spanish into it, it would then speak English to me and vice versa.
Oh, I like that.
So one of the, Haitian Creole is a problem for everybody. There's so many dialects that it will listen and translate to text, but it doesn't quite know how to translate to voice.
How do they get those little handheld?
We buy them.
Oh,
Yeah.
Can I test out one of them? I really want to test it out with the parents.
Next time
if
you're
I can have one to test one, please.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry. Ms.
I do
Susan.
have one thing to say. I've enjoyed this very much. There was a lot of information here, but the other thing I really liked about it is I got a lot more of your personality. First off, you giving Catherine a little bit of a hard time as she's leaving, and then your disclaimer, and then the Cubs thing. That was the highlight. Yes.
Well, that was just so easy.
Low-hanging fruit.
No, this was a very good presentation. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, Kent. All right. Closing. No? Where am I at? All right, let me put my glasses on. That's going to help. Oh. Yep. Kent is still standing. Kent, what? Wait a minute.
Yellow cards.
Yep. Are there any yellow cards?
No, ma'am.
Oh, we have an action item. Hi, Kent.
Good evening, President Triplett, Dr. Hanson, members of the board. Last month, I brought to you the results of our data RFP. I'm happy to answer any questions about EduPoint's Synergy Analytics and MTSS that we'd like to add on. So I'm asking tonight for your approval of the amendment to our Synergy contract to add analytics and MTSS.
I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Are there any questions, discussions? Right? Ready for a vote?
Thank you.
All righty, that passes unanimously. Thank you. And I was wondering, like, why is he still sitting there? I needed an AI to kind of assist me through this. We have no discussion items, and that's agenda item 13.0. Now we're at 14.0, and that is our closing. I am going to start with Terry.
Thank you. Again, I'm happy Principal Week this week and Transportation Week. Really appreciated the reports. I know there's a lot of good going on in our township, and I'm looking forward to our convention next week. I think we're going to come back with a lot of valuable information that we can come back and share with our community. With that, have a good evening.
Yeah, just a couple things. I just wanted to, and I was hoping she would stick around, but she didn't. And that is, I just wanted to commend Catherine Basham on first of all her leadership in the PTA, and also the masterful job she did monitoring or moderating the meet the board thing we had here a little while back. I thought that was done real well. One other thing too, and Brian, I'm really concerned about the strategic planning, just like the rest are. I just think it's a bit complex right now, but I'm going to go read through this and I'll come give you some ideas and some thoughts. But it's got to be a little simpler, and it wasn't for me. And so I just need you to know that we got some work to do, I believe. The other thing is, I've not heard anything about the block schedule, and I guess I can talk offline about that. Somebody can just brief me on that, but that we were going to introduce the block schedule at the high school, and then all of a sudden it just went away. For me, maybe you guys are all up to speed with it, and I'm just the only one that's behind curve here, but I was just curious as to how that's going now, because I understand it's been implemented, and I haven't heard anything pro or con about it, and so I want to hear something about that. Let me see. Hey, one other thing too. And that's it. I'm done.
I hope everyone had a great fall break. It's always a good time to relax and kind of disconnect for a little bit. One of the more interesting things I did over the past month is National PTA was holding a bunch of focus groups to develop ongoing policy and positions. And so they had categories, and you either joined the call or you didn't, depending on your level of interest. So one of them was on charters and vouchers. So it will come as a shock to literally 0 people listening to this that I, of course, hopped on that one. And it was very interesting because it was like the Arizona, Indiana sadness show with anyone else who was there just kind of looking shocked. And I kind of bring this up because as we've got elections and another legislative session coming up around the bend, it's not everywhere. It really is Arizona and Indiana, which means it's something that can be changed, and it's something that we can continue to push on and work back and make sure that our voices are heard and keep investing in kind of doing the work to show the opposition, show the great things that our public schools are doing, and just keep remembering that it's not an inevitable outcome. I mean, it is right now. That is how the law is written, but that there's always hope for change in the future. Because we get into this bubble, right? We're in this bubble where we're losing all of this money and all of these things, and there's a whole bunch of very unfair rules about who's playing by what category. And it's very easy to kind of think that the entire world, or at least the entire United States, works that way, and it really doesn't. It really is just Arizona and Indiana. And so it's important to remember that when kind of fighting the good fight, because there's a fight that goes on, and it is won in other states, including other states that are deeply red day in and day out. And so just to keep that in mind. Kind of to go on with what Kent was talking about earlier, CGP Grey, who is one of my favorite YouTube content creators, doesn't do a lot of stuff, but what he does is really good. He has a really good series on AI learning models, how it's done, kind of what the impact for the future is. And it's very interesting because he did an impact the future video in, I think, 2017. And then he's done another one this year. That kind of looks at the differences, and maybe not all the jobs are going away and not everything is replaceable. And it's a really good series that helped clarify it a lot. Not that Kent did not, he did a really great job. But if you're more of a visual learner, that might be a thing to go look at for the board. I'm also looking forward to CUBE. It's always good when we go to conferences together and get the time to get to know each other better. We know each other pretty well, but never hurts to get to know each other better. And I think going to conferences that really focus on urban schools and what we do and how we can do things better and what we do well is always incredibly important, making sure that we're serving our students appropriately. So I'm excited about that.
Well, hello, everyone. Oh, the time has come for us to get ready to go home, but I would like to say a few things. I want to say again, you know what? We're just too quiet when our people make progress. And, you know, we go to a Colts game, and we have a lot of sports fans in here. And I'm telling you, when you go to those games, you don't sit quiet. You are up cheering, get it, yay, yay. And we need to do that for our employees and people here in Warren. Whenever we hear about our students or our teachers or someone doing, let's shout like they are our players. So we want to shout and root for our players, you know, so that they can continue being winners. So that's why you hear me shout, you know, because I can't hold it. I'm excited when we do great things here in Warren. So I'm going to shout again for our principals, woo, and our administrators, woo. Yes, great job. This is like being at a game for me. I want to give a shout out to our PTA, woohoo! Doing an awesome job for our community. To our transportation, you don't hear about any casualties or anything. Where's our shouts? Woo! Transportation's doing an awesome job. And artificial intelligence, wow, you know, I am living to grow older and older and see these new developments. Oh, no telling, it might be feeding me one day. You just never know. Robot, bring my food, feed me. So you know what? I'm excited about all this artificial intelligence and new developments. And strategic planning, I didn't mean to get on you so hard, but we need to be more specific. I am just adamant about what happens to our students when they graduate. So we need to put our hands together. The Lord has blessed us to graduate, have our masters and doctorates. I know if we put all these doctorates and minds together, we can come up with something for our students to be successful. And more than just putting words on a paper. We need to have a specific, I can't say that word really good, you all don't talk about me, specific plan for our students when they graduate. So that's all it's all about. And I do want to be part of that, you know, because I don't want to be one complaining all the time. I want to be part of the solution. So I'm here, you know, so that we can all work together, because it's not about what you're not doing. If you're not being successful, that means I'm not being successful. We all have to work together. So, yes. The last thing I would like to say is I want to give a special shout out to our marching band. I heard Dr. Hanson say that they won again. Woohoo! We have to shout. They did a good job. And our performing arts, they are really coming along. Oh my gosh, our students are doing a great job. Woo! So we want to cheer them on also. And the last thing, how I have to bring my excitement down, but I talked to Carol Graham, which was our secretary prior to Kim and Tim coming, and she just lost her mother. And we want to keep her and her family in your prayers. She's there now taking care of the funeral and the funeral is over now, but taking care of all the arrangements. So we want to keep Carol Graham in your prayers right now. And I did talk to Dina, and she was totally frightened during that hurricane. And I was there too with her, but I escaped. Oh, the good Lord let me escape. And she got left behind, but I did get out just in time before that hurricane hit. So I am so excited, but she did survive. And so she's a survivor. So we just want to be thankful for that. So that's all I have to say. I want all of you guys to continue to enjoy the rest of our school year and keep doing a great job, doing what you do. Thank you.
Okay, well, we covered a lot of material today. Covered a lot of ground. We've also had another great representation from our student council, and just if we think about all the students that sit in that chair and the level of excellence that we are putting out, that's what we're capable of doing at every level. So that was outstanding there. Another one just came in and put out a beautiful presentation, which shows we do have something going on here. And then our principals, we continue to celebrate them. Our transportation, like I said, we got a lot of things covered today. And the topic of the day, Mr. Russell. I think, the passion is what it is. We want our kids to succeed. So I think we can all say we have a piece, we want a piece. So yeah, that's something we can all work on. So, and it was a long presentation. And so we all had questions. We were pinpointing and we didn't get to where we wanted. It was so much information, like he said. If we downsize it or small bite it or however, and maybe I missed it because it was so much, but I never saw anything into reference to where we are and where we stand. You know what I'm saying? As far as where our kids are ranked or anything like that. So that's another element we could possibly cover. But other than that, yeah, I think it shows we're working, and a work is a sign of progress. So keep working, keep doing it. We all can keep involved, keep doing what we do best, and that is working for the benefit of our children.
I think in the presentation that in the goals you had moving from this point to these points. So I think you did say kind of where we're at now, because it was like for iRead, we were 82%, and our goal is 85% the end of this year, and then a little bit further down in there. Thank you all for all your time and effort and energy that you put into our district. I'm very proud of this district. You guys work your tails off, and that cannot be denied. You are absolutely amazing. I have to agree with Rachel on the Arizona, Indiana stuff, and I really think organizing our parents is going to be a very important part of that. I think, they hear from school board people, and we do make some movement with that when we are working with other groups, and everybody is calling and everybody is making. But I think to really, really push it and get anywhere, we're going to have to get the community involved. So, but I know it's getting late, so I'm just going to say, hang in there, keep doing all the good things you're doing, get us to Thanksgiving, and then you get a few more days off to rest and recuperate, and then make that final dash to the winter break. So,
Thank you, President Triplett. I apologize. In the back of the room tonight, we have student photographs. If you remember, Dennis Jarrett had a Kicks for Clicks event last Thursday at P30. We have several of our student photography posted at P30, so if you get a chance to go over there, you won't be disappointed. And then Dennis had several left over, so we thought, and we didn't have a lot of community here tonight, but we can leave those up. But as you walk out, please check out the student photography. Many of those are Warren students. It's a part of his 100 camera, 100 kid club. Good stuff.
You're welcome. In closing, I will be, as Mr. Taylor say, brief but brilliant. Thank you. We cannot say thank you enough to every department. We, as the board, will also work on being more diligent when we get presentations to look them over, get with you all beforehand so we can adequately ask the questions and get them answered. So we will have accountability on both sides. I do understand during the board meeting, you can't answer a whole bunch of questions because it'll draw the meetings out. But as you all know, we all are very purposeful for our mission of being on the board. So I know you take that as strength-based, and please, I hope no offense was taken to anything that we have said or have strong feelings and passion about as we work in the community. we are boots on the ground, and that is our job to be able to be the voice of the community. So with that being said, thank you all, principals, admin, you all are doing a magnificent job. Transportation, we've all have given everyone the accolades. Be safe tonight. Get to say hi to your loved ones. Some of us have babies at home that haven't seen us all day, so let's get those final hugs and kisses in tonight. And our meeting is adjourned.